across the ring and across the pond. This is Draped in Gold, the unofficial NXTUK and NXT Aftershow. Of course, my name is Flobo Boyce, and I am with you as we head into not only the Easter holiday, but Wrestlemania week, and that means it's going to be a whole lot of wrestling. There's a lot to get through, but thankfully, I am not alone. The man who brought back the Anytime radio show after I asked for it last week. We're talking about the guy, championship wrestler from Hollywood. So many suits, he has them categorized by what day of the month he's going to wear them. This dude is going to be the next rising star, and he's actually one of my buddies. Give it up for the real Jack Farmer, everybody. Woo!
Oh, thank you for all the kind words. I can't wait to forget who you were once I make it Flobo.
Fair enough.
Man, what a... we are, as you mentioned, we are on the precipice of just a marathon of wrestling that's going to come up, and it feels like it's going to be start to finish stacked deck of nothing but bangers. I'm excited for next week.
Excited, or for me, essential dread, because there's going to be a lot of times I got to catch up on everything. I mean, everyone's going 2 nights, but what's not going 2 nights is NXT, their special event. Prelude. It's going to be 1 night, which I guess is a little bit of respite as it sandwiches in between both NXT Stand and Delivers. And, well, I'm going to get your overall thoughts about that first. Stand and Deliver, first time NXT is doing a 2-night event. Fan, not a fan, thoughts about that?
I like it. I mean, there's a lot of great matches on it. I think it'll be fun. I think they'll do a great job. I don't know. I mean, they are one of the best in the business at finding a way to make special nights really special. And so 2 nights, great. I think adding Prelude is going to be just as good if you count that under the NXT banner as like a 3-night thing. It's fascinating to me that at the rate they're going, NXT may become NXT's biggest competition at the rate they're going. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. I like it. Probably
by design. And I want to say thank you for piling into the chat there on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Twitch. Like Lam, who says, there he is, the host of CWFH, presented by Carshall USA on KDOC TV, Jack Farm. You know what? With one line, you're packing a lot of information. I respect that for you.
Yeah, Lam. See, thank you, Lam. I appreciate that. You get all you hit all the talking points. Thank you so much.
Right there, perfect to sell out for. Right. Let's talk about NXT UK. Just got off live, I think, with the daylight saving time issue resolved, because you can't stop it, right? It's going to go back to normal times. We're back at our normal time. Let's start from the top down or down top. Our main event tonight: Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan were the first contenders for the pretty deadly NXT UK Tag Team Championships, but the match was almost secondary to what happened. What's going on with Kenny Williams, Jack? Let me know.
Well, first and foremost, Jordan seemed to be out of his depth the whole time, while Williams seemed to feel like he always just had something up his sleeve during this match. Kenny's viciousness and his will to win was the difference maker and the main reason they were able to stay in this match at all. Amir, on the other hand, he cost him the match by not doing what he needed to do to get the win, and he deserved what he got. I, personally, I'm thrilled that Kenny Williams has a bright future ahead of him, and he's cut the dead weight. Good for you, Kenny Williams. You did what you needed to do. Now you can fly free, little bird.
This is the first time listening to Draped in Gold. This is where Jack totally makes me upset. In fact, I have this written in my notes. Kenny hits Amir Jordan with the belt. Let me guess, Jack Farmer, Amir lacked the, quote, winning instinct. And so Jack does this to me every single week. Are you kidding me? Your tag team partners got hit with the hardware. Belts are heavy, bro.
The only thing that I didn't like is how our good friend Andy Shepard threw his journalistic integrity right out the window to say that it was a scummy move by Kenny Williams. Andy, I thought you were better than that. Kenny Williams doing what it takes to win, doing what it takes to move on. Look, NXT UK is about as tough of a company as it can be.
To win? That's what you're saying?
So to do whatever you need to do to win, that was what's important. That's what Kenny Williams has been trying to tell Amir Jordan for months now. If Amir Jordan had listened, they'd be the champs right now. They would be the champs right now. And in pro wrestling, what you need more than anything else is to be the champion. That's what you're there for. He had it within his grasp, literally had the title in his grasp, and he threw it away.
So you mean to tell me there is no room, especially in NXT UK, to win with a fighting spirit on strictly athletic moves in an athletic wrestling contest? You have to use hardware and to somehow get yourself ahead, is what you're saying.
in a company like NXT UK, everybody's tough and everyone's athletic. You got to figure out what it takes to get just a little bit farther and do a little bit better. Kenny Williams did. Amir Jordan, on the other hand, still trying to figure it out.
On the other side of this matchup, we have Pretty Deadly. They won their titles, and they didn't do it in such a convincing fashion. I mean, this was a defense that was very, very close but slipping away. Is there something wrong, something not gelling quite with the new tag team champions?
Not gelling. Both of them came out tonight looking like Mad Mardigan from Willow. We need to stop just calling these guys pretty faces because they're also big, they're strong, they're tough, smart, and yes, boy, they're deadly. They got a big win here. I don't know what you're talking about. They did everything right. I don't know where you would say that they slipped up or things weren't gelling.
I wish I can just see your bank account and see how many people are paying you off. And you did this Pretty Deadly, Imperium, the Inner Circle. I'm just saying, everyone's, oh yeah, they're great. I don't know about you, Jack, but they were very closer to not retaining in the first defense. At least what I can tell.
Well, you're right. There was a chance they could have lost, but Amir Jordan didn't capitalize. That's what separates champions like Pretty Deadly from contenders like Amir Jordan.
Let's talk about champions, the contender. Rampage Brown, the number one contender for the NXT United Kingdom Championship, had to sit down with Walter, and we were talking about this before we went on. If it was a war of words, Walter won the first battle here. Walter said, hey, look, you were the guy to beat, but what happened? What changed? You dare challenge me today. Now, I know everyone's made a big poo-poo about the two title defenses Walter has to do on both sides of the pond next week, but I think Rampage Brown offers a different kind of opponent to Tommaso Ciampa, which we'll get to in a second. Jack Farmer, thoughts about the sit down and thoughts about the impending match next week at NXT UK Prelude.
I am actually really proud of Walter for keeping his cool during this whole thing. What a ridiculous question Sid Scala asks him. Do you think you're the best champion ever? Under what metric would he not be the best champion ever at this point?
It's only three of them. I mean,
still, what metric would you say he's not the best? He's held it longer than anybody. He's beaten the tar out of everyone who's tried to take it from him. I mean, I don't know how you could make an argument for anyone else. That said, I agree with you. I think Walter won the war of words here. Rampage, I like Rampage, but if I'm honest, he came off kind of like the old man that's talking about what things used to be like, what things have been like 20 years ago. You know, back when I first came here, I was the top dog. Yeah, what's happening now? Though, what's happening this week, next week, what's happening in the future? We don't care about hearing what happened years ago, decades ago. We want to hear about what's happening in the here and now. And I always get really concerned when I hear a challenger talking about how he used to beat everyone back in the day. I think Walter right now, he's in the frame of mind of winning today. And I think that's going to be the thing that separates those two once everything starts happening.
Between the defenses that Walter has with Rampage Brown and Tommaso Ciampa, the over-under for total number of chops is 17. Are you taking the over or the under?
The over. He's thrown way more than 17 shots.
Those poor helpless chests.
Oh, man. I do not envy either of those fellas because they're going to be coming hard and heavy, I think. I don't want to dip too far into the Tommaso Ciampa talk, so I'll just talk about Rampage. Win, lose, or draw, Rampage is going to be sore after the match, and I'm sure Walter will be too. But that one, I think Rampage versus Walter might be the most heavy-handed match of WrestleMania week, and that's saying something.
Oh, absolutely. Those hands are like bombs. Lamb continues. Rampage Brown defeated Joe Coffey, which is impressive, yes, but is that enough? And that, on the surface, I'll say no. If you're a person who watches wrestling strictly on rankings, Joe Coffey lost to Walter. And so beating Joe Coffey puts you in the number one contender spot easily, but does not mean you're better. But Rampage Brown arguably has enough strength to pick up deadlift, really, Walter if need be. So there's a dynamic, there's a path to victory, no matter how narrow, I think.
Yeah, I think, look, with all respect, Rampage is the kind of guy that has the potential to beat anybody. That's why he's here. That's why he's in this match. That's why he's going to be on one of the biggest NXT UK shows in a year at least. that said, Walter's beyond just being one of the best right now. Walter has gone beyond being someone who is a champion or is tough to topple or any of those other things that we talk about. I'm going to like Flobo. I think you'll agree with me on this, even though this is a lot of hyperbole. I think there's truth to it. Walter is starting to transcend into legendary status with this reign. He's starting to become more than just a tough opponent, a tough guy, more than even what like a Roman Reigns is right now or a Bobby Lashley right now, where they're very unstoppable forces. Right now, Walter's becoming more than that. He's a legend.
It's a hard thing to refute, because he has held the title longest. He is a massive presence. He does give Final Boss a dark side or Thanos type vibes. I'm not taking anything away from him, but there is the giant asterisk of the global pandemic. Not saying he wouldn't have retained. I'm not doubting his ability, but it's going to take a while to repair that image, because there was 6 months where NXTUK was just hanging out doing recap shows. Not his fault. I know, best thing for the situation, but that's why I don't think when people think of the title, it's still Pete Dunne, if I could be that bold.
This is where you do a great job, Flobo. I'm going to give you kudos. You're great at handling shows like this, and you're great at looking at facts and figures and bringing up things that are hard to bring up. A lot of people don't want to talk about the fact that, yeah, NXT UK was on the shelf for a while, but this is my rebuttal to that. Who has Walter not faced that would put him in that category? He's faced everybody. He didn't duck anyone. It's not like while he was doing this, Joe Coffey was around and he never faced Coffey. He did face Coffey. Mm-hmm. It's not like Dragunov was around and never got his shot. Dragunov got his shot. You know, it's not like A-Kid won the Heritage Cup and then was put out to pasture. A-Kid got his shot too. So I get what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from, but I don't know who they have that hasn't gotten the shot that would be a contender anyways, outside of Rampage, which we're about to figure out how that shakes out now.
A lot of chops. Let you guys know what you think in the comments below. Is capital Walter the greatest NXT United Kingdom champion of all time? I would love to see, because I think there is a bit of a thing for both, whether it is or he's not. But yeah, I do think there's a solid rebuttal. Solid. Kudos to you two, sir.
We're being way too friendly this episode so far.
All right, so let's fight about this. Your girl, Kaylee Ray, comes out to say, I'm the best person ever. But returning Amelia McKenzie came out, which I'll admit to you, look, I don't even remember Amelia McKenzie, but I had to go remind myself where she was in the past, the pre-reboot NXT UK, fantastic competitor. Between that, Isla Dawn and Miko Satomura, we have ourselves a tag team match set for next week on Prelude as well. So, Kaylee Ray, the top of the women's division, is teaming with Isla Dawn? A lot of questions there. What do you think?
You know, the biggest takeaway I had was, for the first time, I said to myself, Kaylee Ray was wrong. She was wrong. She said something, and I said to myself, you're wrong, Kaylee Ray, and I'm sorry to be the one to correct you, but Kaylee Ray said she wanted the very best women's wrestler to face off against, and she said that NXT brought in the greatest women's wrestler, but they didn't. They brought in the second best women's wrestler, because Kaylee Ray is still number one. She's beaten everybody. Now they're bringing in McKenzie here. And Isla Dawn, look, she knows how to read the cards. She knows what's going on beyond what you and I can see on our TV screens. Even the Supernatural is saying right now, Isla Dawn, you got to go hitch your wagon to Kaylee Ray, because she is a winner. She's going to be a forever champion. Even when you read the future, Isla Dawn was like, look, I read the future, and as far into the future as I can go, Kaylee Ray is still the champion. So Isla Dawn says, instead of being against that, I'm going to be with it, and I'm going to be a winner. And I think it's a really great move on her part, from changing her style to becoming a bit more witchcrafty to now teaming up with the very best.
Question. So in your mind, Kaylee Ray is the greatest female performer on any brand?
I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who's a better champion than she is right now.
Question. Do you think that she could be arguably the greatest champion of all time for that division?
For the women's division? She could be. Yeah.
Okay. Question then. Why is someone like Kaylee Ray, by your estimation, that great, hitching or aligning herself with Isla Dawn, someone who may not have the most impressive win-loss record. Not doubting ability, not doubting about craftiness, but not having the numbers of the most impressive win-loss record. Why would she even align herself with her?
Well, first off, Isla Dawn joined Kaylee Ray's team. Kaylee Ray did not join Isla Dawn's team. Let's make sure we're very clear about that. There's a very big difference. Kind of like how you're on my team, Flobo. I'm not on yours.
Fair. Absolutely fair. By the way, buy your Jack Farmer merchandise at Real Jack Farmer.
No, but I think it's a very subtle difference there. And I think that's actually part of the brilliance of Kaylee Ray. She knows that she can keep Isla Dawn at arm's length as long as they're friends. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, as they say.
So wait, what am I to you then?
You'll find out.
at Prelude. No, okay. Speaking of the ladies division, we got a little bit of a segment backstage with Piper Niven and Jack Stars. I guess Piper Niven's working on her motivational speaking career, hyping up the man to go to another training thing. I know you're not the greatest fan of Piper Niven, but even you can agree this is kind of a cute segment.
You know what? This was the worst. Working on her motivational skills. Here you have Jack Stars working hard, being a super athlete, getting better in the ring. And Piper Niven comes in and is like, why are you working so hard? Why are you trying so hard? You don't need to actually be an athlete. I mean, look at me. Look, this was ridiculous. This was the worst kind of friendship you can have. Imagine you're at the gym, like you didn't want to go, but your alarm goes off. Like, no, I got to do what's right. You get up, you go to the gym, you warm up, you're about to start lifting, and then someone walks in and is like, what are you doing? Let's go do something else. You don't need to work out and get in shape.
That is not what happened. That is not what she said at all.
That's exactly what she did. She was like, you don't need to do anything, whatever. You know what she's trying to do? She sees that Jack Stars is improving himself. He's becoming a better person, a better wrestler, a better competitor. She saw just how good he did last week. He's like really about to make it. And she's that friend that says, I don't want you to grow beyond what I am right now. I want to keep you down here in the gutter with me. That's what Piper Niven's doing, and it's sickening.
Did Piper not cash her check this week? Why there's never any praise for Piper Niven here? We always talk about this, having the cross-pollination between the different characters, between both genders on that show. And here we have a way we can forward both people's storylines in position in the company. You're just like, boo, I'm Jack Farmer, boo.
Look, she had, It all started when she got about 47 shots against Kaylee Ray.
It was 3.
And then she doesn't seem to want to come back and like earn her spot again. Instead of trying to get some matches lined up and start getting some wins under her belt again, instead she would rather disrupt other people's training regimens and ruin them and stop them from becoming their best self so that she can feel better about herself not being able to achieve what she dreamed of.
My word. How do you sleep at night, sir?
I drink. Who says I sleep? I drink Broster's coffee all day.
Oh man, forget it. I forgot we had that as a sponsor. By the way, drink Broster's coffee. Don't go to one.
By the way, if you'd like, drink Broster's coffee at www.brosters.com. Use promo code BROCODE1.
Speaking of people that just surprised me in so many different ways, Teal'c had a match today against Josh Morrell. And Teal'c's the second time we've seen him in a match here at NXT UK. I want your quick thoughts about him first as a competitor. And second, Josh Morrell looks like his day's coming soon, more than else.
Yeah. Teal'c, man, yeah, we got another look at him. I think he looks terrifying. You know, he looks like the kind of guy that would be a character Gary Oldman would have played when he was younger, if that makes any sense. He has the ruthless nature necessary to be successful in NXT UK. And I like the cross-face finisher he seems to be using. I think it's a perfect fit for someone to have. We'll need to see more of him before I can either buy or sell stock in him. But so far, he seems great. Josh Morrell, to your point, I kind of feel bad for him. He can't seem to catch a break. It seems like every time he gets a chance, he gets in the ring, he gets on TV, he's always stepping up to a buzzsaw of an opponent. But he did have a lot of great stuff there. I love that beautiful rebound off the top turnbuckle of that gymnastics spinning backflip deal. Yeah. I agree. I think he's got a good future. I think he'll get things clicking eventually. I think he just needs to get that momentum going. As we always talk about, I'm a big fan of giving yourself a chance to build momentum. I think he'll get there. I think he's going to be one of those guys, whether it's by the end of 2021 or maybe 2022, he will find a way to turn it around. I think Josh Morrell is going to have a good run in NXT UK before it's all said and done.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Lamb on a roll today. Bravo, my Berlin boys. I'm happy to see him now in NXT UK. Well, NXT UK has been really good about bringing people in. Yes, they had to have some kind of changes for the show, like you have Nathan Frazier, but like character-wise, it seems to be pretty similar, which is kind of a cool thing to see. It's kind of like an indie hybrid. I hate to use that term on a wrestling show, but it's like an independent wrestling hybrid type show because of it. So hopefully we see more of them. I am not quite sold on TM quite yet, and I do think it's because I haven't been able to see like any of the backstage promos since debuting. What does that mean? But I'm not going to write them off yet. I mean, it'd be way too early to do so in 2 matches.
I like that you mentioned Frazier because I'd like to see T.O.Man versus Frazier at some point. I think those two would have a good match, and I think we'd find out a little bit more about both of them if they were both in the ring together. I think.
Oh yeah, that prints money. I'm not sure why they wouldn't do that, but everything capped off today in the women's division. Ava Valkyrie, the presumptive number 1 contender, even though not formally announced as such, had a match against the former Bobby Tyler, Stevie Turner. Now it's going to give me a mouthful from Stardom. And so the match was great. Ava Valkyrie wins this one in a dominating fashion, but lots to pull from here. We got the debut of Stevie Turner and her look and her style and her vibe and a little bit of a promo beforehand. We have Ava Valkyrie showing her range and having a winning streak. What does it mean for both women and in this division?
So Stevie Turner, I liked. I'll be honest, I don't follow a whole lot of Stardom, so I don't really know too much about her before all of this, but I really loved her style and her look. I thought she looked like she jumped right out of a Twitch stream. They said that she was from the Tokyo Cyber Squad, which isn't just a great name, but it's also a sign that NXT UK is starting to open up their own little gateway to Japan, it seems. And as more talent seems to be coming over from Japan into NXT UK, I guess it is one of the toughest divisions in wrestling today. So if you do want to really test your mettle, NXT UK is the place to do it. I liked her. I thought it was a great showing for her. I'm happy to see more of Stevie Turner in the future. Obviously, though, the person we want to talk about here is Valkyrie. Now, something that has been an issue for her is that she's been way too concerned about getting that first loss, I think. And she's been kind of dealing with some like head games of her own because of this. I don't know how she's dealing with it or what the issue is, but I think she really needs to get over that because she's undefeated. I mean, it's time for her to step up and face the very best in NXT UK. I think she's ready. It's not going to change in the future anytime soon. She's not going to be any different in the future. She just needs to go for it, I think. She's quickly becoming this generation's Goldberg. And I think with her combination of strength and speed, but she also has a grace that Goldberg didn't have. I think Goldberg would agree he didn't have a whole lot of grace. But Valkyrie does. I think she does. She can move a lot smoother than he ever did, but she's also just as tough. She beat Stevie Turner, who clearly is no pushover. I think it's time for Valkyrie to finally take the risk of losing. I keep saying I want to see her get in the ring with Piper Niven. I want to see those two go at it. I think that would be an incredible matchup and really show us what both of those women are made of.
I agree with you there. I think Piper Niven would be a perfect opponent there for Ava Valkyrie. And Tokyo, I'm surprised. I cracked up when you talked about Tokyo Cyber Squad because Jack and I have this thing off air that whenever there's a giant dominating group with multiple leaders, Jack will say shades and echoes of a certain other wrestling stable, but he didn't do it here. I was kind of waiting. Too sweet, brother. I was waiting for it. But Tokyo Cyber Squad is and to be honest with you, my Stardom knowledge is pretty like entry level as well. I know I did some of that for Women's Wrestling Talk. Rest in peace, Hana Kimura. But the Tokyo Cyber Squad has been pretty influential in the fact that there is some of that there. And Lamb actually said too, Mako Satomura is affiliated with Sendai Girls Pro, so the door is open, which is pretty cool. So the fact that NXT UK, even more than the Big Brother, Big Sister promotion, gets to be more of the global brand, helps everyone. So now, Ava Valkyrie from Ireland, and you got Piper Niven from Scotland, Kaylee Ray, also from Scotland. I do think one of these three women should have a match. Triple threat, why not? I think they both work for everyone. So
and just to wrap that up with the people from Japan coming over, I've said before, I'll say it again. I really think NXT UK is the prototype for what the future of pro wrestling is going to look like, where it is going to be a much better variety of people from different countries and different cultures representing where they're from. Maybe not intentionally, maybe not like waving their flag and all that kind of stuff, but I think having those people that are like, oh, this person is from this place, they're competing, they're great, and getting to see a lot of those different things. And I love that. I think it's a really cool thing, and just has more of almost like an Olympics feel in a lot of ways. I really enjoy it, and I think that that's something that we're going to see a lot more of in all wrestling across all brands.
Almost like a world championship of wrestling.
That never worked.
Yeah, that never worked. I'm in the wrestling business. So next week is Prelude. The card is right of now. Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn versus Amelia McKenzie and Meiko Satomura. Tyler Bate versus Noam Dar to announce the number one contender for the Heritage Cup. And in the main event, Walter versus Rampage Brown for the NXT United Kingdom Championship. Where's the stack for you as far as like special events? Is it going to be great, awesome? I'm okay. It's in the mix. How do you feel?
UK is funny. I want to say it's going to be great, but they always have a way of leaving me with my mouth hanging open, just blown away by what they're able to do. So I think going into it, I'm saying great. I think I'll leave it saying that was awesome, especially Walter. I'm a huge fan of Walter. We were chatting offline. I think Walter might be my guy right now. I think he might be my absolute favorite because every time he's in the ring, every time it knocks the roof off. It's just amazing. It's a match that you look back on and go, wow, that's a contender for match of the year. He always delivers every single time. So I think it'll be great. I'm excited for it. And the other cards, Noam Dar is becoming one of my favorites as well. So it'll be fun to see him wrestle. I've really taken to the Heritage Cup rules. For some reason, I love it. I'm really into it. So I'm excited for both of those.
Same here. I thought it'd be kind of a cool idea for a one shot, but the fact it's actually defended, it's pretty awesome. Heading over to NXT Prime, let's do something a little bit in reverse. Let's talk about Stand and Deliver. 2-night event, both Wednesday and Thursday, with Wednesday being on USA and Peacock, and Thursday being a Peacock exclusive, which is tickles me to say. Let's talk about this card off the rip. Pete Dunne versus Kushida for night one. Walter versus Ciampa, North American title gauntlet, MSK versus GYV versus Legado del Fantasma for the tag team championships, and Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. Now, this right here is stacked. Will I be wrong to assume that if there's ever going to be one title change, it will be in the women's division? Raquel Gonzalez did the impossible multiple times last night and beat the brakes off Io Shirai. She kept asking for more. Jack Farmer, are we going to have a new women's champion this time next week?
I've said it since this match was announced. I've never wavered once on Io Shirai. I've never thought that she was in danger. I was never concerned of her losing that title until Raquel Gonzalez entered the picture. I think she is completely unstoppable. I think she's completely indestructible. I think that she may have come from the future, and if you peeled back the skin on her face, you will see an exoskeleton. The way she was throwing Io Shirai around, even double choke slamming her through a wall at one point, swinging her like a baseball bat. I don't think Raquel Gonzalez is stoppable. I don't think there's anything you can do. It's not Io Shirai's fault. I think Io Shirai is amazing. I just think she's going up against a T800 that will not die.
And tag team with Dakota Kai. I was looking for the impossible victory of Io's doing it, but after last night, I feel like now more than this may be time. It may be time to transition. Or maybe time for Raquel Gonzalez to step and take hers. How you want to interpret what NXT is about. I do think she's on fire. Ever since she beat Mercedes Martinez in that main event around Halloween Havoc time it was, I really feel like she was the most strongest woman on that roster. So it may be her chance. Maybe her time.
I mean, even through the Dusty Cup, I said, look, I like Dakota Kai. I'm not taking any shots at her.
Better not.
I think she's great. I just think that when you look back at that Dusty Cup and everything else, it was Raquel Gonzalez that was the engine to that train, just powering through things. And I just don't think you can stop her. I think this is the time we're going to have a new NXT Women's Champion. I think it's going to be an amazing match because Io Shirai will not go down easy. She's one of the best to do the thing. So, God, that first night of TakeOver is going to be amazing. The stand night is going to be amazing. Deliver will be good too, but stand will be good as well.
I got delivered the first night. Also, things are going to have a change. Definitely the tag team division for the men's. MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans. Grizzled. And Legado del Fantasma. Since the brand, can we still call them that, had to vacate the titles, will crown new champions. Question. Is it now or never for the GYV?
Yes, I think it is. I love GYV. I love the Grizzled Young Veterans. I think, I always like to say on paper, I always like to check the boxes. I always like to read the scouting reports. They have everything, Flobo. They have the talent on the microphone. They have the talent in the ring. They are young. They're durable. They're fast. They're strong. They're knowledgeable. They are great. But they've kind of been hanging out on the precipice for a long time. They got to the finals of the Dusty Cup and failed. They got to the finals of the Dusty Cup again and failed. Now they have a title shot. If they fail again, they're going to be labeled as the always a bridesmaid, never a bride. And that's a dangerous spot to be in a very talented roster like NXT.
It's an affliction that affects Pete Dunne, who's had at least 3, if not 4 NXT title shots in his career and has yet to win one to his tally. But Pete Dunne has a match because he and Kushida said they were the best technical wrestlers, which I called a week before anybody else. Just saying. And they're going to have a classic, probably going to be the opening match next week. I never thought I wanted to see this yet, but I think I definitely want to see this.
You just said it perfectly. You put it out on a silver platter, Flobo. That's why you do such a good job hosting this show. Because that was it. It's like Kushida's out there and he's talking, doing the promo. And you're like, oh, I like Kushida. And then as soon as Pete Dunne walks in, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to slap. Before Pete Dunne says anything, you're like, this is... it's Pete Dunne. It's not going to slap. It's going to snap because he's going to break some fingers. I don't know which time period Kushida is going to be in that match.
Will you stop?
But I don't know if it's past Kushida, future Kushida. Hopefully it's future Kushida because if it's past Kushida, then all other Kushidas are going to have broken fingers from now on.
He's not actually a time traveler.
That's how time travel works, Flobo. If you hurt the one in the past, all the future ones are impacted. But if you hurt the one in the future, all the other ones aren't. It's all very detailed. As a wrestling journalist, I understand how time travel works.
We get all the sources.
But really, I think this is going to be one of those matches. And look, NXT TakeOver is one of those shows where any match, anytime could steal the show. It really could. This is going to be one of those potential show stealers that isn't necessarily going to be guys flying all over the ring and jumping all over the place, but will still have you on the edge of your seat the whole time. This is a price of admission kind of match that just this makes it worth it. And I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised by how this goes.
Yeah, I think so too. And we were talking about this before. You're asking me who's my favorite wrestlers right now. And I'm like, I don't really have an answer. It was Kushida for a long time, but he hadn't been on TV for a couple of weeks. This may be the kind of match that puts him back on the map, whether or not for the main title division or the North American title division. What up, Sock Monkey Mike? What? I like this guy. He says Flobo was the GOAT. That's true. It's totally true.
Monkey Mike.
But let's talk about this.
What kind of people do we let on this show, Flobo? What kind of people do we let in the chat? Sock Monkey Mike. How dare he?
Hey man, the merch makes itself. It sells itself. Our night one, we're going to have this North American title gauntlet match. And the way it was determined was there was an 11-man battle royal, which included Leon Ruff, Swerve, Pete Dunne, Kushida, Jake Atlas, LA Knight, Tyler Russ, Dexter Lumis, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, and Austin Theory. And the 6 remaining guys will have a reverse elimination order for where they'll be in this match. So Leon Ruff, Swerve, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and finally LA Knight, the man who won the contest yesterday, is going to be in this gauntlet match. I was here last week poo-pooing about how complicated this was. It seemed simpler last night, but explaining it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, just give me a tournament. Thoughts about the gauntlet and what it means for the North American title division, because your boy Johnny Gargano has to face the winner the next night on Deliver.
Yeah, this was I agree. Going into this feels like some late period WCW stuff going on. I don't understand it. Look, and I love WCW. I love late period WCW, but it felt so convoluted and so difficult to understand. I was confused, but you're right. Once it got going and once we started seeing exactly what it was, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was fun watching the eliminations and wondering who, like any battle royal, it had all the fun of a battle royal. But then once it got down to the order of elimination mattering, I thought that was a really clever idea. And I think now that we get the gauntlet match, which is going to be fun too, that'll be great. I mean, it's a lot to go through for a shot at the North American title. I feel like I would just hang out until next week and then just try to become a number one contender. Then at this point, you got to beat 12 people just to get this shot. But as a fan watching it, it was fun. I liked it the whole time I'm watching it. I don't know who's going to win or where it's going to go. It was fun. It was a fun little, little side quest of a match here. It was enjoyable. It was confusing going into it, much like the Heritage Cup, though, to be honest. The Heritage Cup confused me a lot when it first started. Once it started playing out, I got it. It was great, and I thought it was fun.
I agree. Here's some shots from the crowd here. Will Five Stud says, I'm going to stock up on snacks for 9 days of great wrestling. Yo, for real. Once you think you melted off the COVID-19, here it comes, more wrestling. And Larry says, I am for LA Knight, CWFH alumni who needs the match most because otherwise his debut hype goes down the toilet. I will be okay with Bronson. I will be okay with Bronson. Okay. Fine, you're new here. It's cool. And Sock Monkey Mike says, even though the winner of the gauntlet match will be LA Knight. So I'm going to ask this question next week anyway, because fortunately for us, the next episode will cut in between this 2-night pay-per-view extravaganza. Does Gargano retain? Not knowing who wins the gauntlet match, do you think that Gargano will find a way to make that happen?
I never bet against Johnny North American. I never bet against Johnny the Way. I never bet against him. He's gonna win. He always wins because he's intelligent. He's an example to people. He's a hero, and heroes don't allow themselves to let others down. And I can't imagine a world where Johnny Gargano lets down his family.
Profound, man.
I will say though, during this, if I may say, during this battle royal, I love LA Knight. Dexter Lumis terrifies me. I thought they both were kind of foolish not taking the money. I mean, they already qualified for the gauntlet match.
Yeah.
Make a couple bucks. Save yourself anyways,
So if you're just joining the show, Jack is advocating using the tag team title belts to win a match and taking the money inside the ring where you don't have no pockets. Where's your integrity, Jack?
Look. The wrestling business is a business. You're there to make money. You just shortcutted the whole thing. Make money without even having to get in the ring. Hey, you could pay me every day and I won't show up.
That is late period WCW. That is straight late period WCW. Guaranteed contracts? Too sweet.
Man, I wish I got that don't show up, here's your money.
Lord. I can't say anything about that because it's a good idea. Anything else I would. But in the spirit of wrestling, no. We touched about this a little bit before, but Walter is having not one defense, but 2 defenses within 18 hours of each other. The other one against Tommaso Ciampa. And, well, you know how I feel about Ciampa. But Walter can actually win this one pretty handedly. And for those people who don't know who Walter is, you're going to get 2 different styles of opponents for the big man. Thoughts about this match besides the chops, because we know they're going to hurt like a bee. But does Ciampa, if he does not win here, where does he go from here?
This is a match I'm really excited about because I think it will be an opportunity for a lot of people who haven't given NXT UK a chance to see just what NXT UK can do. And I know Walter came across the pond a year or so ago, I guess 2 years ago now, when he came over kind of during that time when NXT was getting involved with Raw and SmackDown, and things were a little weird then, but I think now this will be a real chance to see what Walter and NXT UK is. And so it'll be really fun to see that NXT Prime style going against the NXT UK style. And I think that someone like Ciampa is the perfect person for this role because Ciampa, he is, whether you love him or hate him, whether you like him growing his hair out or not, he's someone who can take a beating. He's someone who's tough as nails. He's someone who's very vicious, and he's someone who can use your strengths against you. And someone who has a lot of strengths is Walter, and Walter is going to be dishing out a ton of punishment. If you think you've seen Ciampa take punishment before, you haven't seen anything yet, because Walter is going to devastate him. Walter is going to crush him. Walter is going to be like Thanos coming in with the Infinity Gauntlet, except instead of snapping his fingers, he's going to use every single one of those stones to lacerate the chest of the psychopath with chop after chop after chop. And as soon as you think there can be no more chops, he's going to chop him again.
That's a cool image, getting chopped out of existence. Ooh, I don't feel so good. So dumb.
I think that is the match that I think when we talk about, again, anything could be a show stealer. All of them are going to be great. From an intrigue standpoint, that is the match that has my attention.
Yeah, definitely a hidden gem. I'm a big Worlds Collide guy of the 2 or 3 events they had. I think that does see like that. I wish, that's my biggest wish for WWE, even though I hate this line of thinking because it's not really my choice. Well, you know what they should do? Right. But I would love if they took one pay-per-view, maybe call it Survivor Series, where all the things are just, all the canon goes out the window. You just give me an exhibition matchup. You know what I mean? You put Rampage Brown and Bronson Reed and Dave Mastiff in a triple threat and say, go. I will buy tickets. I'll be there in the front row. I'll be totally there for it. But until that day, we have to have matchups like this one. So I'm happy with that one as well.
And and just out of curiosity, you would like to see the different brands face each other, or you would like to see a show where the different brands each have a showcase match of their own?
Just kind of a cross-pollination. I mean, it doesn't have to be like I'm a tag team partner on NXT UK, so I have to be a tag team partner here. But if that were to be the case, cool. I always like to have just an idea where one night, no storylines matter. It's just talent versus talent. Because I think we get so locked into wins and losses in this great art of wrestling when someone who has a bad record who can go, say, Chad Gable had a match against Tyler Breeze, it was slap. But we won't believe it because both these men have not been on TV recently and they haven't won matches together. So that's just my thing.
Yeah, and I think you could add stakes to it without it being too tricky or difficult. I mean, what if you just said, we're going to have the giant from this brand face the giant from that brand? What if you just said, hey, we're going to have Bronson Reed take on Dave Mastiff as the two big colossal fellas going at it, the big bowling balls going at it.
Yeah.
You could do things like that and just say, hey, who has the fastest cruiserweight or the best cruiserweight on their team? 205 Live raises their hand, but
it's not really a brand though. That's NXT.
Yeah. So it'd be, I think that could be a cool way of doing things. You could say who's the best which brand has the best cruiserweight, which brand has the best tag team, which brand has the best, even if it's not just for titles per se, you could just have a representative go. Because I think there are also teams that you would say could be the best team, but maybe they're not currently the champions or whatever the case may be. Sure.
I'm with that. That's why I like Worlds Collide. So even though it was the last full live event before the shutdown, even going into that, I was like, oh man, Worlds Collide. This is amazing. But enough of me gushing because it's not about that. No one comes to hear me say that. We had a tag team match, I think, with Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro taking on Tian Shaw. but it was just Xia Li. Why Mia Ying was just hanging out, just being all like final boss, and then Kaden Carter took the fight to her, but then she got choked out, smoked out. What happened, Jack?
At what point, Flobo,
here we go.
Are we going to start saying Casey and Kaden are the bullies? Like, what? Like they're looking at Xia Li at this point, and they're like, "You aren't going to goof around with us. Well, we're going to beat some goofiness into you." They're double teaming her in fights.
That's not how it went. Like, we'll show you, Goofy.
She's trying to go out here and be a competitor in a combat sport, and they're like, "Why aren't you goofing around with us? We're gonna teach you how to goof around." But what was great, I think the point of the match. Come on, not only did Xia Li just beat both of them and show that she's continuing to be amazing, but Kaden must have felt stupid going over there and trying to pick a fight. Looking like Shang Tsung, by the way, just stealing her soul in that moment. I can't believe that I'm so excited about this team and this group. I don't know what you call them, if they're a team or a group or whatever. I want to see Boa get more involved. I didn't like, though, how everyone booed when Kaden Carter got messed up. She literally left her match mid-match for no reason, walked up the ramp and attacked a poor woman in a chair that was just watching, just a spectator.
Okay.
And just because she was able to defend herself, everyone booed her? Come on.
You will be able to cheer. Okay, look, I was with you.
I cheered.
If you had landed it played early, you weird bloodthirsty man, I would have been like, you know what, Jack, you're right, because it does seem now this time Casey and Kaden were kind of the aggressors, and Kaden went out of her way to go in front of someone and yell in their face. And being choked out isn't the best situation to be in, but it was understood. But then when you knock somebody out with smoke and no one's saying anything but Jack Farmer going, yeah, that's a problem, man. You can't be putting people out with gaseous, noxious fumes. That's not in the rule book. Where's William Regal? Maybe he's a bad GM. I want answers. What's going on?
What's she supposed to do? She's being attacked. She used her smoke breath. Again, I think she's Shang Tsung'd her. I think we'll be able to see that now she can like morph into Kaden Carter later. So that right. But at this point, I'm thinking Kaden Carter, Casey Catanzaro, what are you doing? Move on with your life. See, Xia Li is just trying to be a champion. She's trying to win wrestling matches. Why do you guys keep getting in her way? A 2-on-1 match, and they never stopped and thought, maybe we're the bad guys here.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What up, Adam Ghazi? It was kind of like, well, just win the match and leave, guys. What are you doing? Let's go find your partner. It was weird. I was with you.
Yeah, while they're beating you up, we're going to go beat up your friends too. That'll teach you for trying to be successful in your career.
Quit while you're behind. Speaking of that, my man Roderick Strong quit today in a match against Cameron Grimes. And yes, I won't go into the fact that he quit while wearing a Brooklyn, New York shirt. It makes me feel upset. But besides that, Roderick Strong, a man with no direction, a samurai without a lord. Where is he going to go?
I want to take a shot at Brooklyn now. Is Brooklyn a bunch of quitters, Flobo? Is that what NXT was trying to tell us?
I quit to find out. I have no idea.
I think he obviously made a mistake not selling the Undisputed Era rights to Cameron Grimes. I said that last week. He could have pocketed a lot of cash. And come on, Grimes's Undisputed Era was amazing. I loved it, but I'm going to say something here. And even though he took a loss, and I rarely say this about people who take losses, I think this was a better Roderick Strong. I liked him a lot more. And it's so interesting not being a part of the Undisputed Era. The big fear of him was that without the Undisputed Era, he wouldn't be able to stand out. But I feel like he stood out so much more without them. He seemed like his own man finally. He seemed like someone who I should be paying attention to, not because he's wearing the colors of a team, but because of who he is. Roderick Strong's always been amazing. Anyone who's forgotten that is just sleeping on him. But now it feels like he might actually have the chance to be the Roderick Strong that we all knew he was when he first came to NXT.
Well, too bad he quit. I mean, is he coming back, you think? Or you think it's one of those like a outside the arena storyline, quite like Xia Li had, where you go looking for Roddy? What is next for that guy, you think?
I don't know. I don't know what's planned for him. I hope that he steps away for a little bit, regroups, and is able to come back with a little bit more fire, a little bit more vigor, a little bit more. Maybe he just needs to heal up some old wounds. He's been taking a beating being part of the Undisputed Era for the past few years. I mean, it's not an easy gig being in the UE. They take a beating fairly often. I mean, they dished him out, but they also were on the wrong side of him many times. So maybe he just needs to heal up, get some rest, stretch a little bit, come back and do some good stuff. But I've always got time for Roddy Strong.
Oh, look at that. Speaking about people needing more time, we had ourselves a tag team match in the ladies division. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell against Gigi Dolan, the former Priscilla Kelly, and the former AQA Zayda Ramirez, which I had to look up because their nameplate wasn't on screen for a full second. What happened? But sorry, besides that, the match itself, pretty solid. We got some prospects in the NXT system. Zayda was from Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. Priscilla Kelly is one of the most noteworthy female performers of the last 5 years. What do you make of this match?
I noticed the nameplate thing too. They didn't even fully illuminate it. I had to back up a couple times to make sure I could see what their names were again. Because of course we know Priscilla Kelly so well as Priscilla Kelly and not as Gigi. But so I had to keep going back. But the story here, and you kind of alluded to it, is it's twofold. One, the women's tag team division is already being built so well in NXT, as well as we have these two new amazing teams right off the bat. And two, we have Indy, Gigi, and it was Zayda, right? Zayda Ramirez. They're three young talents with super bright futures right here. So this may not be a match that we all look back on in 10 years and are like, this was the greatest match of all time, study it and all that kind of stuff. But if you're one of the many people who are planning the future for NXT, you have to be very happy about what you're seeing in that ring right now. Again, all this new talent in a new division that has basically been built right before our eyes. I think the first thing that stands out to me is, as we talk about other divisions that get built and they're like, oh, it takes years to build a division or months to build a division. NXT's proven you can build a division in weeks, a legit strong division in weeks. And that is wildly impressive.
Much like Zoe Stark, we'll get to in quite a second. But was it the right call then to have a separate tag team division? There was a chance of having the WWE tag team women's belts being defended on all three brands, but of course we now have the split. Was this the right call?
Yes, it was. And because I think that when you look at how SmackDown operates and how Raw operates, they just move at a different speed and a different pace than NXT. I'm not saying one's better or worse. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just saying that they're different. They're different things. And I think by trying to have them all hold on to one title would just be difficult for everyone involved. And I think it wouldn't do justice to anyone. I think you need to have them separate because I just don't think that they work together, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
They're just different styles. They do things in different ways. And so I think if you were to try to combine the two, there'd be a lot of benefits, don't get me wrong, but I think it would have stunted the growth of the NXT women's tag team division. And I don't know if it would have helped the Raw and SmackDown women's tag team division all that much in the long term. So this way you can still keep that Raw and SmackDown tag team division doing what it's doing, while also really giving a lot of great opportunities to a lot of talented women on the NXT division with their tag team championships. I think it was the right call.
Blair goes on and says, it was the right decision to split the women's tag. NXT has way too many women. That's a great way to present many women as possible, not like Raw SmackDown. I quite disagree with the last point, but I'm with you there. So that makes a question. Someone like Zoe Stark was in a match against Raquel Gonzalez, but really much turned into a tune-up match for Raquel because she has her title match next week. Zoe Stark has been impressive. I've been a big fan of her, what she stands for. Win-loss record wasn't the greatest. Let's be honest. She's, I think, 0 over her last 4. Would she benefit then by being in the women's tag team division? Would she be able to be featured more if she's not having this one-on-one contest? Or I'm just throwing the baby out of the bathwater way too soon?
I think you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater a bit too soon on Zoe Stark. I think she's great. I think her win-loss record isn't amazing if you just look at the numbers. I get you, but when you put up the kind of fight that she's putting up against people like Raquel Gonzalez, who I just got done talking about as a Terminator of a person, I think that's still a win, especially this early on in your run in a company like the WWE. I think she's showing that she's a world champion contender. I mean, she may need to get some momentum going her way again. She may need to right the ship a little bit. But when you look at her measurables, she stacks
what does that
up
mean? I had to cut you off. What does that mean? A manager, some new competition, Robert Stone brand, a new competition, new gear. What is missing then? Because she has little tools. I'm with you. She's like one of the hottest prospects we've seen in a while, but something's not clicking here.
I think what she's trying to do and what may happen down the road is that matchup with Dakota Kai. I think that's an opportunity for her to really make a statement. I think going up against someone like a Raquel, she's already an avalanche rolling downhill. You're not going to stop Raquel Gonzalez. No one was going to stop Raquel Gonzalez today in that ring. No one. So the fact that she wasn't able to, I don't think hurts her. I think someone like a Dakota Kai, though, is someone who is attached at the hip to that same avalanche, but doesn't have quite that same momentum, and is someone that she can really show out against. Dakota Kai is one of the best going. So a win against her still means something. It's not like she's saying, bring me up someone who doesn't have a name yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
your weakest opponent, please.
Yeah, even if that doesn't work, there's still so many people she can have matches with and get going with. Right now, she debuted at a tough time. She debuted at probably one of the toughest times, building up to WrestleMania weekend. Right when everyone is peaking is when she came in. And so you have to give her that credit of knowing that she came in when everyone else was peaking and she's still hanging in there. She hasn't had a chance to peak yet. As you know, in sports, you try to find a way to peak every year at the right moment.
Absolutely.
I don't know what her training was before this, but she's hanging in there with people who are at a professional level peaking, and she's hanging in there step for step. So I think just once she's assimilated to that, assimilated isn't the right word. Acclimated. That's the word I'm looking for. Acclimated to where everyone else is. She's going to be a star. She doesn't need to change anything.
Fair enough. I actually agree with you. I'm just stirring the pot.
Yeah.
It's confirmed, by the way, the week after WrestleMania, NXT is moving to Tuesdays, which will mean our show will air at the same time, but there might be some tweaks in our format. We're still working on that. But more importantly, we have a debut on that first Tuesday NXT. It was delivered by Dog, actually. The Dog was just having the good time of his life, running to the Performance Center, unchecked, not wearing a mask, not socially distancing. Frankie seems to be her name, but well, you and I both know who that is. Jack Farmer, thoughts about the impending Taya Valkyrie?
Taya Valkyrie, someone who I was a huge fan of back in Lucha Underground. I'm a big Lucha Underground fan, so that's how I really first came across her, and been a fan of everything she's done ever since. I think this is a huge pickup for NXT. Just another embarrassment of riches for their women's division in NXT. They're close to where they could just have a women's show and it would crush, by the way.
Absolutely.
They have so much talent there. And it's one of those things that I'd imagine if you're a female wrestler, that's where you want to be, just because that's where all the best talent in the world is, and iron sharpens iron. She's already great. I can't wait to see what she can do once she starts really adding to her resume in NXT. If you don't know who Taya Valkyrie is, if you don't know who Frankie is, or what, depending on how, I guess her name's Frankie, as you mentioned. If you don't know who she is, prepare for a good time. She's great.
That does raise a question, though, not to dispute what you're saying or denigrate what you're saying, because the NXT Women's Division on both sides of the pond are just fantastic. But Taya Valkyrie's pretty much done it all in professional wrestling. She's 37, so she has like at most maybe 10 years left of her career, maybe a little less or more depending on nutrition and all that. Is there be some school of thought to say, hey, look, you've grinded forever, why not put yourself on the biggest stage possible? Is that something that's valid, or is when you're a competitor you just go, no, I want the best level of competition for myself?
Two things. One, she looks great for 37. Two, Meiko Satomura shows that you can wrestle as long as you want, apparently. But to your point, and the real crux of the question there, I think when you're someone as good as her and who has been everywhere and done it all, you want to be in there with the best. You want to have the best matches of your career. And I think that she's at that stage. I'm a believer. And I think that 35 to 40 is that age where you really are the best you're going to be. And that's where she wants to have her best matches. She'll still have time. She could still have years in NXT and still have years on, on Raw and SmackDown if she chose to. But I think she knows that she's going to have those matches that are remembered forever when she's in the ring with the women of the NXT, because they're the best women's division in the world right now.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you, bar none.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to have to roll out here soon. I have to watch a full version of Prime Target, but the snippet we got last night was pretty solid. I love the Prime Targets. They're my favorite kind of thing NXT does. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. It's going to be a banger and slapper. Mon says, Frankie versus Mercedes first up. I will pay double. I would pay double for that. Jack Farmer, it's now time for me to ask you this. Who, in your opinion, is the MVP of NXT? That individual or staff or tag person on either brand that showed out for you today?
Oh, this is a tough one. I am going to give it to Eli Drake. No. LA Knights.
My brain was like, wait, who's that guy? Oh, wait. Wait, man.
I knew it was going to happen. I can't believe it took this many weeks before it happened, but I knew one of these days I was going to mess it up because I'm so, you become so used to that.
That's a life. No,
that thing, but it's just a fact of life. It wasn't an insult. It's just, but no, I'm going to go LA Knight here because a couple things happened. One, he won he won his match tonight, and that means he is going to get to be part of he's going to be the last person in the Gauntlet Eliminator next week, which is a big thing for him. But he didn't just win. He did it by bouncing back after a tough loss against Bronson Reed, which sets the path right for him again. And he also grabbed some of that money after the match was over. So don't think I didn't notice that, LA Knight. I saw you grab a couple of bucks off the announce table. I'm sure you stuck it in the tights and kept it, which is what I would do as well. So I think between the money, between riding the ship and earning the best opportunity to get a shot at the North American title, it's got to go LA Knight.
Damn, actually, one of the first times ever we're actually in agreement. I had LA Knight as well, but now I have to change it. So I'm giving it to Stevie Turner because I can't agree with Jack. For a debut, it looked like she was solid. She was polished. Doesn't have the same issues of run of form a lot of debuting talents have, regardless of brand or division or gender. The future's bright for Stevie Turner. That's what's my MVP of NXT, baby. Jack, we're over an hour, man. It's about high time we get out of here. Tell the people where they can find you online, good sir.
Yeah, you can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out doing Elite of the Week. It's the weekly power rankings for AEW. We also do Anytime Radio, which is just fun music that we play from all genres, all decades, all times. But the biggest thing I'm doing right now is you can find me hosting and interviewing over at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We got some friends in the chat here today. Thanks so much for joining us, by the way, Lamb. Appreciate you and all you do. Check me out. You can see it on Fight TV. You can check it out on the YouTube page, or you can see it on KDOC LA if you're here in Southern California.
Well, dang. Thank you so much for checking out the show. My name is Flobo Boyce. This is Draped in Gold. Do me a favor. Like, comment, share, 5 stars in the podcast thing, the App Store, whatever, what have you. It's all good. But in the meantime, learn more about this show at drapedingold.com. Next week, we'll be back in between Stand and Deliver and after Prelude. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to cover. But until next time, Jack Farmer, say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.